Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie Stats Janish. And their co-host, the man of controversy, Mr. Brian the Duke David. And finally, your host, Aaron Turner. Let's get ready to Schmoedown.
What's going on, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? It is episode number 45 of the Schmoedown Rundown, the official after show for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. My name is Aaron. I am your host most of the time. Joining me today, when he's not doing stats, he's apparently going through Jake Gyllenhaal's filmography and getting caught up. It is Frank Janish. What's up, man?
That's true. I watched Zodiac and Nightcrawler this past week, and I gotta say, it was a good time. Kind of creepy, but it was a good time.
Oddly enough, I watched Southpaw over the last weekend too, so we're all Jake Gyllenhaal fans here, so no problem there. Also here, future Schmoedown Commissioner Brian Davids.
Aaron, Frank, it's August Absurdity, otherwise known as Ultimate Schmoedown Tournament Time. And folks, if you're happy to hear about T potentially joining the Schmoedown, please send me your thank you cards via DM.
I didn't even know that, so that's fascinating.
Oh, it's so exciting.
I'm a big fan of T. Huge fan of T.
She is the new SPR experience, only a little less controversy.
All right, man. What the heck is going on, guys? Like, long time no see.
I'm glad you're back.
It's been a while, Aaron. It's been a while, and I'm glad you're here at the helm because Lord knows we could use it.
Hey, what are you saying, Frank? What are you saying?
No. All kidding aside, Brian was great, and Aaron, I hope you're refreshed because we have a crazy couple of months ahead of us.
Well, I was only like half gone, but here I am. Actually, I just have one question for both of you guys. Actually, it's just kind of a blanket question. Do you slay?
I slay all day, Aaron.
I thought so. Brian, do you slay?
I have been sledding before, yes.
Rosebud. Well, before we get into any match business or bracketology, I gotta know, Brian, I got another question for you. I'm sitting here, I'm reading the Schmoedown blog this week. You and I were actually talking. You were actually interrupting me while I was reading the Schmoedown blog. But I was reading an article about commissioners and what would happen if Christian had to step away, and suggestions other than Tom, because there's this big Dagnino for commissioner movement. And we got some options like Mark Ellis and Jay Washington and you. So what in the world is going on?
Well, let's get ready to Schmoedown.blog did another great piece this week, probably one of his best articles, as he talked about alternatives to Dagnino for commissioner. Yours truly was mentioned as an option, and he wrote a nice explanation as to why I'd be fit for office. He did lead off with a point that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, which surprises me because I thought I received nothing but universal acclaim. But in response to Tom's piece, I just want to say that I'd establish consistent rules as commissioner. I'd work closely with the question writers to ensure no more Rose McGowan type questions. I'd outfit each player with their own tablet to where they can see the question. I'd also unclog the path to the singles title. Lastly, I'd make number one contender matches 5 rounds, which is a segue to my next point, as I did a poll this week to take the temperature of where everybody was at as far as this potential adjustment. However, Aaron, I kept noticing that some people weren't entirely grasping the concept of what this meant. It wasn't just about Atchity and MODOK, as there's a bigger point here. Number one contenders, in many cases, go into title matches with zero experience in title formats, especially speed rounds. We've seen countless competitors struggle with the buzzers, regardless of the equipment used. So you can go back and watch speed rounds for basic strategies, such as only buzzing with an answer ready, but nothing prepares you better for a speed round than the actual speed round. Jeremy Johns, speed round god, given his fast twitch nature, accelerated motor. But make no mistake, using those buzzers almost every single week on Awesome-tacular has absolutely given him an edge. Matt Atchity didn't have problems being the first to buzz, but that's because he was ignoring basic strategy of buzzing with an answer ready. He thought his recall rate would save him in less than 2 seconds, but it didn't. His attempts to stall via that would be prove that. Also, that wasn't character work. Yes, he used the accent still, but that would be was definitely a stall tactic for being trigger happy. Regardless, there have been far more people who struggle with the buzzers given their lack of experience with them. This is why Christian continues to say push, not slam, before every speed round. But mark my words, we will see more speed round struggles as long as number one contenders have zero familiarity with them. So why not give contender matches a real warm-up for the title format, since one of them is guaranteed to be playing for a title? I want the highest level of competition possible. It makes no sense to let speed round rookies fail like MODOK did. And to close on a separate point, I want more speed round in general. Why wait 2 to 3 months to unleash it? The betting round, that can sit on the sideline. But Frank, what do you think about number one contender matches becoming 5 rounds?
I'm not against it because I think what we're going to get here in the tournament, the final, is a 5-round match, just like it was the year before in the singles, if I do recall correctly. So I'm not opposed. It seems like a good idea to me, and you're right. I would love to see more speed rounds in general, and if that's one way to do it, throwing it in these number one contender matches as a 5-round match, I'm all for it. And I think it makes the number one contender match a little more meaningful in terms of what it means going into the next step, which is the championship match if you win that number one contender match, because now you have somewhat more of a better gauge in terms of predicting how a 3rd and 4th round might go, since you have somewhat of a sample size to go on now for both teams. And I think it would be a very, very welcomed addition if, in fact, that ever did happen.
Aaron, do you want number one contenders to have at least some buzzer experience going into a title fight?
Nah. Nope. Not a fan of the 5-round format. But I had
2 out of 3, not bad.
I gotta say something. I'm gonna scoot closer to the mic, and Tom, you may want to turn this up a little bit. Don't put things like that out in the ether. Like, you put stuff out in the universe and sometimes it'll happen. Don't put Brian Davids as commissioner. Please don't do that. Okay? Please.
Because I'll turn it into a 3,000 word rant like I just did. So.
No, that it was well thought out. It was well thoughtful. I don't, it's too long. It's too much. 5 rounds are supposed to be special for a reason. Number one contenders matches, while special, are not the main event. They're not. Save it for the championship rounds.
Again, do you want people going into title fights with no experience with those buzzers? You've seen people struggle with those buzzers countless times.
Review some game tape and figure it out. That's what I would say.
How is game tape going to prepare you for the touch and feel of those buzzers?
You can try it out yourself.
Where? When?
Practice before the Schmodown.
Oh, they're going to give you a practice round? Please.
Sure.
They barely read them the rules beforehand. You're lucky to get a wheel spin.
Sir, I'm just saying, like, if you go, let's use the UFC as an example. You're a number one contender for a UFC championship. You fight 3-round fights. You get in the championship round. It's 5 rounds for a championship match. Are they going to concede you like, oh, well, we should have given you a number one contenders match that was 5 rounds to prepare you for this? No, they're not going to do that. You're just thrust in there, and if you're good enough, you'll be the champion. And if not, tough.
Jeremy Johns practically takes those buzzers home. He's so familiar with them. He uses them almost every single week. That's a big advantage. And I want to see the highest level of competition. And if people are familiar with the speed round, we'll get consistent high levels of competition.
I guess you could say that Jeremy slays.
Sorry. And sleds.
I gotta say, I don't think even if you throw the buzzer into the number one contenders match, it's gonna do a whole lot going into a title match. Yeah, it may give you it's okay, it's something, but I don't think it's really gonna make or break the number one contender's ability to win the match. I don't know.
MODOK to win. It just cost MODOK the win.
Sure. Okay, that's a fair point. what I'm saying is have the speed round for every match.
That's what I'm saying. That was my last point.
Yeah, I think
in my 3,000 word rant.
I'm not saying
that.
I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying if you're going to do it, then just throw them in every match. But to add it to a number one contenders match is not going to really do a whole lot in my eyes. If you're going to do that, you might as well throw them in everything. But I don't know. I have to think about it some more. I have to think about that some more because I don't know. I really don't know. I've just got to think about it some more. That's all.
By the way, go back and watch that speed round. You'll see and you'll hear a line that says Atchity was having trouble with those buzzers as well. It's there. Believe me, it's there. So I just want players to have some experience, and I don't know why we save it for just title fights. It's such an exciting round. It should be used more frequently. I just want to see more of it, and we'll never get rid of the wheel round, but someday, I would love to see maybe every fourth match trade the wheel for a speed round, or maybe just do 4-round matches. What's wrong with 4-round matches aside from a longer run time? But speed rounds are quick for a reason. They take up very little time because they're the speed round.
More betting round, I say.
You would.
How dare you?
This week we were supposed to jump into the Ultimate Schmoedown Team Tournament. Schedules got changed. Things got moved around. And all of a sudden, we have a Glowdown. Movie Trivia Glowdown.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. Who do you think was the first person to say Glowdown on the record in public? Who do you think was the first person?
Because it's such a hard, thing to come up with Glowdown. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Hold on. I have an answer. Mr. Linus Babcock.
Brian Davids was the first person to come up with this. He was the first person to report the scoop.
Yeah, you're talking in third person now?
Brian Davids scooped it. What can I tell you? That's the facts. I got to report the news. Brian Davids was the first person to say Glowdown on the record in public. I'm saying that for a reason.
Sounds like
no one cares.
I reported Heather Grace Hancock of Wicked City spoiling the Glowdown, and I was the first to put that out there. I even did a news segment on it within this show. So we were the first to cover it, and I was the first to say Glowdown.
Well, we did have a Glowdown. Thank you, Brian, for that. And it was as a couple teams were represented here. We had Clark Wolf on one side. We had Miss Movies on the other. Team Classy, which consisted of Clark, Britt, and Brittany, which I didn't like the name. I thought Wolf Pack would have been an easier team name, a layup. But
I've got something better. I
agree with you.
I agreed with you. I didn't like the name either. One-word adjectives should not be team names or stable names. However, in this case, I would have gone with class and sass.
Okay. Well, on the other side,
Clark is sassy. She's not just classy. She's got sass to her and all the class.
And she's also hungry like the wolf. But on the other side, we had Miss Movies, we had Jackie, and we had Kia, who I got to say real quick, Kia Stevens is a legit badass. Now, I'm not saying that because she's one of the best female wrestlers of the past decade and that she's known worldwide.
She's an actual wrestler in real life, too?
Absolutely. She's
not just an actor playing the welfare queen on the show Glow?
She is a multi-time world champion in TNA Impact Wrestling, Japan. She had a brief stint in the WWE. She, like I said, she has been one of the best female wrestlers of the past decade. And she can legitimately kick your ass. That's not kayfabe for the show. That's legit.
God, just when I thought I knew everything, you surprised me with something like that.
No, that's why I'm here. I'm the wrestling guy. That's why I'm here. But I have to put over something real quick. I like the special graphics they did for this. Like the gold. I really, really like that. I thought it made it unique. I thought it made it special. I thought it looked great. What did you guys think?
Well, they're designating these as celebrity schmoedowns now. They're actually calling these a celebrity schmoedown. It's not just something we refer to offhand, hence the fancier artwork. And I've got to bring up something because I saw a comment last week. That comment really rubbed me the wrong way because it's missing the point of these celebrity schmoedowns. So please indulge with me a bit longer. Another rant. I'm sorry, but it's very important to me at least. And this commenter said, hate celebrity matches. Every celebrity match displaces a match involving old favorites. Actually, celebrity matches help you get even more matches with your old favorites. Celebrity matches grow the league in ways your old favorites can't, since fans of those celebrities are exposed to a show they wouldn't have heard about otherwise. Take a look at someone like Dan Murrell, who works for a massive channel with 6 million subscribers. Dan's audience knows about the Schmodown by now. Thus, his numbers have plateaued no matter how many times he appears. The number of people he draws is still valued, but as a business, growth must be steady for this league to sustain itself for years to come. So celebrity matches are one of the best ways to get the league in front of new eyes, new viewers, and Glow is a perfect property to cross-promote with since it deals with the same themes as well as the same growing pains that the Schmodown has endured. I'm not saying you have to like celebrity Schmodowns. I just hope you can understand why they're necessary as they afford more matches with your old favorites while growing this league in terms of viewers and players that are outside of the YouTube bubble. The trivia might be a bit easier and the competition might not be as strong as Patriots v MODOK, but the show is still entertaining since they're welcoming working actors and entertainers onto the Schmodown stage. Ultimately, I will support anything that protects the Schmodown's future, including celebrity Schmodowns. And in some cases, it'll function as a recruitment tool since Brittany Young expressed interest in competing in league play a la Sam Levine. So support celebrity matches because they take the league into new territories. YouTube channels, entertainment news sites, they've gotten the league this far, but if you want The Rock or John Boyega to play someday, then celebrity Schmodowns must be embraced.
Frank, your thoughts?
Very well said by Brian. I read that comment last week, and there's nothing I can add to that. And you're right. If you want John Boyega or The Rock, Kevin Hart, you got to go through these other steps. Those matches don't pop out of nowhere. You got to work your way up to it, which is what everyone at Collider and Schmodown is working towards. And this is just another step to get there. It may or may not ever happen, but you're going to get other people down the line, and hopefully people in this community can kind of come around and see how it does benefit the league. Like I said, your statement, Brian, very well said. There's absolutely nothing I think I could add to that. Support the Schmodown having more of these celebrity matches. And I do like the fact that they are calling them celebrity Schmodowns, because I think if you're going to have more, that's what you should call them, because that's what they are. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Aaron Turner, do you think Complex got into the Schmodown game just to do 100,000 viewers every single episode? Don't you think they want bigger and bigger things for the Schmodown, hence celebrity matches?
Absolutely. I mean, otherwise they would just be spinning their wheels. And whether people want to admit it or not, do you really want to see the same people every single week?
Do you want to see?
You will not after a while.
Do you want to see Roca and Riley play each other for the 19th time? I don't, but
I would rather see someone like Kia Stevens or Awesome Kong, as she is known, versus another person from Glow. What if you get Allison Brie in there next time? I think that would be a lot of fun. I would rather see. The way I look at it is like this. I was a big fan of movie fights, okay? And Christian and Mark were on there once. And I didn't know them at the time. I didn't know anything about shows or anything. But they were so entertaining. And they were having so much fun on there. I was like, who are these guys? And then I started like looking them up and like, what are they doing? It's like, oh my God, this is a whole other world that I've never even, looked at. And I kind of think in celebrity matches, that can be a thing. Like if you're a big Glow fan and you can't get enough of it, you see this Schmodown, you're like, oh, what is this? Oh, I like movie trivia. Okay, it's like wrestling, but with movie trivia. All right, this is fun. Now I'm into it. And then you have a whole 2-3 year backlog of episodes to get caught up with. I think that's the most important part of these. You bring new fans in that weren't maybe necessarily going to catch this, and it's something special for the fans that you already have.
There's so many correlations. Look at Allison Brie's character. I mean, she's essentially the Chandler of this league. Chandler took forever to find the right character, and ultimately the right character for Chandler was a heel character, and that's similar to the character arc of Allison Brie. So So many correlations, and Glow fans will undoubtedly love the movie Trivia Schmodown, if they love movies, of course.
In round 1, we had Team Classy getting 9 points as they went 8 for 8 and got the 1 point bonus as well. Team Misfits 8 for 8 for an 8-point round. Any thoughts on this first round, Frank?
I thought it was a very fun round to watch. I was curious to see what team was going to break first. Lo and behold, it was the Misfits missing the bonus question. So after that, I thought the second round should be interesting depending on the categories because, up to that point, they're pretty even, and 1 point's not really that big of a lead in these kinds of matches because you never know what can happen in the second round. So I thought it was very fun. I loved the banter back and forth, a lot of fun being had up there on the desk, and I think at times a little probably chaotic, which was fine to watch. I enjoyed it because, look, we're not really playing for anything. We're just here to entertain and have fun and laugh, and certainly did that.
Yeah, I was watching this in a different way than I normally would. I was just looking to be entertained, and round 1 was entertaining. The questions I knew, but so what? It was still entertaining to watch new people in this environment. And there was something fascinating that happened. They changed the format in round 1 to where one person, the captain of each team, Clark and Chandler, they wrote the answers for the team, I believe. I believe it was the two of them. And that way they could confer together and then come up with the answer where one person writes it. This got me thinking that I know team matches, regular team matches, do not confer in round 1, but this would eliminate so much of the JTE controversy if Jeff Snyder is writing the answers for the Patriots in round 1. So I know we like the format as is, but there's something to be said about this specific format and having one person write the answers for their team. So let's just file that away. Perhaps there's something we can use later.
Well, real quick, I just want to say, because you're talking about the format here, I actually did like the fact that we have 2 regular Schmodown competitors teaming up with these celebrities. I thought that was a great way to do this match, do these celebrity matches, because before it was just the personalities up there, and then it's whatever they know. Whereas now you have actually seasoned veterans of the league giving their insight and advice, or the answers in some cases. And I think it works. I think it makes for a little bit more of a competitive match if you don't have, actors or actresses, directors, what have you, that aren't as savvy with movie trivia. So I thought this was a really great way to make the match pretty competitive.
Yeah, having Chandler and Wolf as captains showed the guests that we take this seriously. So that kind of set the tone that the celebrity guests followed for the most part. So I really thought it was effective.
You got to make sure that you do confer with your team, as we'll talk about here in a little bit, or things could get ugly for you.
Or defer and confer.
Oh, boy. And in round 2, Team Classy having an 11-point round after getting a couple steals and getting 8 points initially. Misfits getting 8 points total. They got a steal of their own. Frank, what about round 2 here?
Round 2 was really great. I think this is when we started to see Brittany flash her movie knowledge, certainly flash her USC credentials. And this was a really fun round just because of what happened with Brienne and Kia. And then, you have Team Classy stealing a couple points. It was very fun. I mean, especially this, we can get into this with Kia and her whole, she didn't confer thing with Brienne. I love that entire bit.
Class and Sass, really impressive performance. Clark and Brittany was almost unfair because they were so good together. I would love to see these two on a team. Who knows? That could happen much sooner than we think. But 8-point turn for Class and Sass after a perfect round 1. The Glowfits, they spun Disney, and Chandler obviously is strong in animation. So
wait a minute, you said Glowfits? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Glowfits. So Chandler obviously wants a category like Disney. She got the category that is kind of in her wheelhouse. And it's weird. The first question, the Copper and Todd question, whatever the heck that is, she deferred to her teammates because ultimately this is about the celebrity guest experience. She could have answered that right away, but she deferred to let them potentially answer it once they conferred with her first. So I like that she let them get involved and she let them have the chance to answer. So it was important to keep that going. Just defer first so that you can later confer before answering. It's more fun to let these celebrities get involved. Then question 3, similar to the first question, Chandler knew the answer, but instead of saying it right away, she again deferred to her teammates since, again, this match is more about their experience. However, you could easily see this backfiring if Kia or Jackie didn't confer before answering. But in question 5, Chandler jumped the gun without deferring, something she had been doing so far, as well as not conferring with her teammates, something she'd also been doing. So she thought she knew the answer to the frozen question. She answered puddle, and Kia immediately knew it was wrong and tried to argue that the lack of a conference shouldn't count against them. However, rules are rules, and this a huge steal by Class and Sass as they knew a happy snowman right away. This was the turning point in the match as Class and Sass went up by 3, 19-16. Then they even stole the next question to go up by 4, and that was a big enough lead heading into round 3 with players of Brittany Young and Clark Wolf's caliber.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not arguing with Kia Stevens ever. So, so if she wants me to confer with her, I will confer with her every time. So there was a brief moment where I was legitimately scared for the safety of a competitor. I was very afraid for her.
I thought we might actually get some like physical play here, and maybe it was going to be part of kind of a bit thing, but I didn't know what was going to happen. You're right, Aaron. When Kia started standing up and pointing and shouting, and I was like, "Oh boy!"
I thought somebody was going through a table. I thought the poor table was done for.
It's just interesting that you would think that one of the new players would be the ones to not confer or defer in order to answer, and yet Chandler, who's a veteran of this game, was overconfident in her Disney ability. And look, this is an exhibition match. It's not the end of the world, but it gave us a great moment with Kia that'll kind of be the takeaway from this match.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that bit. 20-16 Classy after 2. So we get into the third round where it was the Misfits getting 7 points and taking a brief lead. The Classy came back, getting 8 points in the round and taking the victory 28-23. Clark, Britt, and Brittany get the victory here. And guys, I got to say, in Brittany's case, a star is born. Wouldn't you say?
She is Sam Levine. She's the new Sam Levine, a potential league player who also happens to be a working actor. So this is very exciting stuff. And look, the Glowfits, they had opportunities to potentially win this match. Chandler, she's a 90s byproduct. She's got to get that Fargo question. That's inexcusable. Honestly, that's got to be something that she should know. But the Glowfits were just too overmatched in this one. Clark and Brittany together, that's just unfair. And I'm going to keep projecting because I want to see this team. If, Riley's retirement plans, should this tournament not go his way, we all kind of expect him to hang it up after this tourney run. So Brittany and Clark, that would be something. That would be something. Aaron, do you think there's a chance of this?
I think there's quite a good chance of that. Of course, we have to see what happens in the tournament. But I think if Riley steps aside, I think the way that Clark and Brittany were vibing and the way they were feeding off of each other, I think they would make a great team. I think that's something I would definitely want to see.
Yeah, even in the Emma view, there was a little chemistry, a little
see what you're doing.
A little shout out to Grace, and I would love to see those two pair up.
What do you think, Frank?
Just take one Trojan out, bring another Trojan in, and it's
whoa, wrong team.
Whoa, Frank, family show.
Oh, jeez, come on.
Oh, you're talking about USC. Sorry.
USC Trojans. One USC Trojan for another USC Trojan.
Yes. Got it. Okay, sorry.
There we go. Okay, how's that?
Maybe Riley can leave one of his frayed USC hats for good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Hang it on the mic, just as a remembrance.
A token.
Frank, let me ask you this. I talked about this off air with you. could you possibly, for fun, one day see a USC versus Florida State Schmodown happening? Because we've got enough players on each side for this to be a thing.
Yeah, who's going to be in your FSU team?
You got Roca, you got Kalinowski, you got
Charlie Ward.
Christian, Charlie Ward.
Yeah. one of these 12 Seminoles has got to know Charlie Ward and Sebastian Janikowski. That's the next celebrity Schmodown.
Anyway, you've got Christian, you've got Jim Sturger, and maybe most importantly, Dan Murrell, Florida State Seminole, versus the USC team, which would be Brittany and Riley and Robert Butler III and Brian Chandler. So I think that would be kind of fun. Christian just throwing it out in the ether that maybe that could be fun down the road.
Maybe when they have like a slow week, they can do that match.
Fine, Frank. I just was throwing it out there.
No, I think it's a pretty fun. I think it's a pretty fun idea. But I would be down to see that for sure.
Of course, you could do the Penn State tag team match of Josh Bakuga and Scott Mance, but I'm digressing now. But let's talk about the post-match interview here. We kind of touched on it there. Clark and Brittany are vibing, and Britt got into it too, man. She even admitted that maybe she wasn't the most effective in the match, but she had a lot of fun, and that's really all that matters. Brian, what'd you think here? Well,
besides what I said already, there were a few words said during this interview that raised a few red flags in my head. I won't say them, but I look forward to seeing if that response is warranted. There was a few things said that raised some red flags. That's all I'm saying.
Well, on the other side, we had Grace Hancock interviewing the Misfits team, and it looked like Kia still wanted to kick somebody's ass, pretty sure. She said, "Did we really lose? I enjoyed that whole thing." Tell me what you thought of Kia here, Brian.
She performed as you expected. This was her persona, essentially. So it would not have been right if Kia did not have something to get outraged about. This is just her in her natural element. She's so good on the show Glow when she does this. And so it's not a surprise that she found a way to use her persona in the Schmodown. So look, she knew the answer. She knew that frozen question. And it's just fascinating to me that Chandler was conferring throughout the match until that moment where she was overconfident. And it gave us a classic moment where Kia got to really show why she is this successful wrestler.
You know, Kia, she was a lot of fun to watch. She just has a really great, bubbly personality and can be somewhat, if you're on the opposite end of her rants, a little bit concerning. And I found that very entertaining. And I haven't watched The Glow yet.
The hell,
but
Frank.
This certainly did a lot to the list. And I think, I'm going to start it soon because now I got Defenders and then The Glow, but still definitely amped my enthusiasm to get into Glow.
Aaron, what is Kia's stage name in real life, in her real wrestling?
She went by Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong.
She is, I believe she's actually not wrestling at the moment. Probably a little bit busy with Glow, but in WWE she was Karma. She was there for a brief period of time. But,
so when you saw her as the welfare queen on Glow, you knew exactly who she was right out of the gates.
I knew exactly who she was, and I couldn't have been happier because I've heard, through the various wrestling podcasts that I listen to that, on screen, she can be quite menacing and terrifying, but off screen, she is quite a lot of fun. So that actually seeing her on the show and on the Schmodown is actually pretty sweet.
I realized this was an episode for the ladies, but man, it would have been fun to have Jay Washington show up just to have some banter with Kia because they are two of the best on the mic. Jay's got his wrestling background.
That thought did cross my mind, but you're right. It was for the ladies. And look, it was great to see 6 ladies up there at the desk doing trivia, and it's a big step forward for this league.
Hopefully they can do a wrestling episode where they have nothing but wrestling personalities, but
don't tease me like that.
It's tricky because there aren't a lot of mainstream wrestling movies. Some wrestling sites, whatever podcast shows, have gotten back to them, and they've all kind of said, not all of them, a lot of them, as I've seen publicly, have said, "Oh, well, can we have all wrestling trivia?" However, it's the movie Trivia Schmodown, so Christian does not want to deviate from what the show is, which is movie trivia. So if we can get movie-loving wrestlers on the show to compete in movie trivia that might be catered towards wrestling in some degree. I think that's the best of both worlds.
I will be glad to be in a movie trivia Schmodown where all the questions are from the Hulk Hogan led film Suburban Commando. So no problem.
Aaron, one of your favorites, Tooth Fairy, which you have seen more times than Pulp Fiction for some reason.
Which would be once.
That would be an option. But look, I mean, you got to get the wrestling fans over to the Schmodown. The Schmodown was made for people who like wrestling. It's so wrestling inspired. So there's got to be a ton of movie fans in the wrestling community that are just like you, Aaron, who would be interested in this show. But we've got to get it in front of them. That is why celebrity matches, exhibition matches are so important. You'll get more Roka matches. You'll get more Merle matches. You'll get more whomever matches, your old favorites. But you got to be open to new players, exhibition, celebrity matches, whatever.
And wasn't it kind of nice to take a breather for a second? Because we've got the Ultimate Schmodown tournaments coming up, and that's serious business. Wasn't it kind of nice to just kind of sit back for a second and, not be, I don't want to say like just the stakes were not as high as the Ultimate Schmodown tournament. Let's put it that way. But just kind of nice. It was a fun, relaxing match where people were having fun. I think that was a nice primer, a nice cool down to get ready for what we've got coming up here.
After the production of last week, 2 episodes in 3 days, and the coverage that a great title match requires, this was so welcome, and it felt awfully good to just be entertained.
I thought it was great fun. I was over the moon for this match. Of course, I'm a big Glow fan and wrestling fan, so it hit all the points for me.
I agree. Success. All right, guys, it's time for the Ward Wing. Guys, Brian Ward is many things, including the greatest artist Schmodownville has ever seen. And that's saying something, since there have been a lot of great artists in this community. Ward did a phenomenal Patriots piece this week that'll likely hit Schmo's TeePublic very soon. He also did a great Glowdown piece that he carried over into the Rundowns weekly graphic. We love it, of course, but I think I'm going to call Brian Ward Brian Warg, because he made a glow-styled Ultimate Schmodown Team Tournament logo before the glow match was spoiled by Wicked City's Heather Grace Hancock. So make sure to follow Brian Warg, or perhaps Bran Ward, at Brian E. Ward, as well as brianeward.com.
All right, guys, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Bracketology.
Hello, everyone. Your faithful host, Aaron here. Do you like what you're hearing so far on the Rundown? Great. Give us a thumbs up if you're listening on YouTube. Leave a comment. Join the discussion. Listening via iTunes, please rate and review the Schmoes Know iTunes feed. It helps us out tremendously. It helps us move up and down on the charts. That way more people can listen and more people can get involved. We would really appreciate it. Be sure to check out the other shows on SK Plus on YouTube. There is something different for you every single day. Different shows with different personalities. You can't go wrong. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at SD Rundown and email us anytime. schmodownrundown@gmail.com. And now back to me.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're here to preview the Ultimate Schmodown Team Tournament. If you are going to submit a bracket, be sure to email it to schmodown2017@gmail.com. But I will suggest that you listen to this before submitting your picks, because, I mean, we are experts after all, or at least that's what we're told.
Can I say something before we start?
Wouldn't be a special if you didn't.
I just want to make it clear that we're making bracket picks according to the matchups themselves. We're not playing favorites. We're being as diplomatic as possible. Even me, Brian David. So just keep that in mind. And for those of you who are looking to piggyback my near flawless prediction record, don't in this case, because when it comes to tourneys, even I am humbled like the rest of you.
All right, well, this is what I like to call Rundown Bracketology. Okay, so we're going to start. If you're looking at your bracket that Thad was so nice to put together and put in the Movie Trivia Schmodown Facebook group, we're going to We're going to start in the upper left-hand corner. That would be the first match, the number 1 seed, top 10 versus Real Rejects. 1 versus 16. Now, in terms of college basketball, the 16 seed, I don't think has ever won. So, Frank, do you see the trend changing here? Can the Real Rejects pull the upset of the century and take out top 10?
The short answer for this one is Real Rejects cannot pull the upset, but it's going to be, I think, a very, very close match. Real Rejects enters this match answering 55% this season. Top 10 is answering 62%. The one problem I have when it comes to giving top 10 this win is they haven't been particularly strong in the second round. They're entering 67%. They haven't been their dominant selves as they have in years past. Again, in the past, different format. This year is what we're dealing with. Again, only answering 67%. Real Rejects answering 75%. Individually, top 10 for Nost. He's answered 11 out of 18 questions. Roca, 10 out of 18. Real Rejects, Greg Alba, and John Humphreys each have answered 9 out of 18. So when it comes to individual questions, top 10 has the slight advantage here. And I think experience in these scenarios, given that they've been in title matches and in the 2015 tournament, I'm going to give top 10 the slight edge. And that's right, I'm saying the slight edge over Real Rejects. Real Rejects has been very close in all their matches that they've ever played in, losing by 1, 2, or 3 points. And I think you're going to see the same thing here. I think it comes down to the last question, in which Real Rejects, I think, is going to have a shot to win it, but ultimately will fail to answer the 5-pointer, and that's how top 10 will come victorious.
Frank, just to be clear, Real Rejects are 0-1 this season, while top 10 is 1-1, correct, in 2017?
Correct.
Well, it's absurd that bottom 10 is even in this tournament since they just played for a title 5 weeks before MODOK, a team that isn't in this tournament. You can't have one without the other. MODOK winning 4 matches in a compressed period of time would take them a year to pull off in standard scheduling. So how anyone can argue against their inclusion is beyond me, especially when bottom 10, should they win this tourney, they'll have 4 title shots in 14 months. 4 in 14. As a result of MODOK and IGN's devastating omissions, that leads to the Real Rejects inclusion, providing bottom 10 with a much easier path to the final, especially since Mark and Christian withdrew Team Schmoes. Still, I have no idea how they're a number 1 seed when they've lost 2 of their last 3 matches. Wolves of Steel, they have a serious case for being number 1. Schmoes had a case had they played, but either way, bottom 10 defeats Real Rejects as they really only have to show up for 3 matches to win this tournament.
I don't have stats. I don't have a soliloquy. I can only just go with facts. Top 10's going to win. I'm going to jump down to the next matchup, which is the number 3 seed, Team Heroes, now consisting of John Schnepp and Hector Navarro, versus Blofeld's Cat, an interesting name, Mark Andreyko and Robert Meyer Burnett. Frank, I'll start with you on this one again. Who do you got here?
Right off the bat, I'm going to take Blofeld's Cat.
Blofeld. Once again, Frank. Blofeld.
Yeah, that's what I said.
You said Blofield. You keep saying Blofield.
Yeah, I said Blofield.
Oh, Frank. Frank.
Well, in any case, with Team Heroes now consisting of John Schnepp and Hector Navarro, it's hard to figure out how this dynamic is going to work together. Schnepp in singles is only answering 50% of his questions. Hector Navarro, he was 2 out of 10 in the free-for-all. But if you look at his performance with teams with Adam Havlik, he was answering 56% in individual questions. So it's kind of hard to see them getting above those numbers that they've previously performed at. Because when you look at Andreyko, who we all know in his first meeting that was up against Bibiani was one of the all-time matches. And since then, he's been answering 69% of his individual questions in singles. Robert Meyer Burnett, he answered 52% in the free-for-all, and he was answering 61% in teams. So I have to give the edge to Blofeld's Cat. And Draco, Robert Meyer Burnett, I think they're just too strong. Schnepp, his knowledge, I think everyone would agree, he knows a lot, but his recall is absolutely horrendous, and it's going to come back to bite them in this match. And I think Schnepp has to get favorable categories, and that's the only way they can win, whereas in Draco and Robert Meyer Burnett, their knowledge is vast, and I think that's how they're going to win this one.
It ultimately comes down to John Schnepp. He's the Schnepp factor. If he plays well, Team Heroes wins, but I just don't trust him. Can the comic book category come up again for Team Heroes? If so, it's game over with Navarro, more so than Team Heroes with Burnett. However, Burnett and Andraco, they've been dominant players at times in singles. So now that they can lean on each other, they're potentially dangerous. So not having the pressure of having to do it all yourself, that's a big deal. So I expect Blofeld's Cat to claw their way to the next round.
I feel like Robert Meyer Burnett really needs a win. I feel like it's been ages since we saw this guy win. And I believe the last time he did was with Team Heroes. And now he's not on Team Heroes anymore. So I need something out of here. I think Blofeld's Cat could be one of these teams that makes a run. So I'm going to go with them. I think I will take Blofeld's Cat to beat Heroes here in the first round. Let's jump down to the next match, which will be the 4 seed Team Trek, Scott Manson, Jason Inman, versus the 13 seed Team Cinema Blend. Frank, who you got here?
Well, this one was a little difficult to pick, but ultimately I decided to go with Cinema Blend. They're very even with Trek's body of work this season. Trek's coming in with 65% correct. Cinema Blend answers 65% in their lone match this season, so they have room for improvement, which I think is going to happen in this match. With Trek, we've seen what they can do, and I think this is who they are. They're at the 65% rate, and look, they're pretty good in the second round, and they're not bad when it comes to stealing. They're 2 for 2 this season. But Cinema Blend, I think, like I said earlier, has room for improvement, and I think it's going to happen in this match, and that's why I got Cinema Blend as a 13 seed, upsetting Trek, the 4 seed.
Trek is impossible to figure out. They look like title threats in one match, but then they'll look like real rejects in another match. So Mance is always the key, and I just don't think his focus will ever sustain itself to win 4 matches in a tourney. Cinema Blend, besides having the toughest team name to pronounce, they showed me something in their loss against DC Movie News. They're basically IGN light now that IGN is out of the league. So I expect Cinema Blend to be in the mix for tournament success.
Guys, I'm taking Cinema Blend also. I feel like this is another team that could make a run here. And Trek, like you said, Brian, very inconsistent. So I will take Cinema Blend. Let's go to the next match, which will be the number 7 seed, Team Action, Ben and Andrew, versus the number 10 seed, which, debatable. It is Deep Cuts here. So, Frank, tell me who you got winning this one.
I'm going to take Deep Cuts in this one.
How dare you?
Look, Team Action, I think they live and die by very specific categories. Other than that, I don't know how they can be victorious in this match. It's going to take an extreme amount of luck for them to advance past Deep Cuts. I think Deep Cuts, and look at Aaron, I think is very, very knowledgeable. It was recently made the point that he puts all these matches together. He goes through all these questions more or less when he's editing these matches. Thad, he's always there for these matches as well. Despite them losing their last match, a worthy opponent in IGN, Deep Cuts has done some really good stuff. Aaron has been 11 of 17 in individual questions. Thad, 10 of 17. You look at Ben and Andrew, they're both 13 out of 26 each. Now, second round is where Team Action makes their living, but if things don't go their way, it's more or less dead for them getting into that third round. Because Deep Cuts, I still think there's a lot of room for improvement, and that's going to happen again in this match. They're very solid in the first round. Team Action is not. They're answering 48% in the first round. Team Action's at 63%. Team Action's going to have to be uncharacteristically good in the first round to even win this match, I think, because I just don't know how if they get out of this round by not getting action adventure movies. Deep Cuts, I think, is a little bit more well-rounded, and that's why I've picked Deep Cuts.
Brian, who you got here, and why is Frank insane?
Aaron, prepare for your second sigh. Christian wants action to succeed so much, and for that reason, his Dark Room Bandits Deep Cuts will steal this victory in a shocking upset. Look, Action, they've had the hero's journey so far as they keep getting their favorite category in every match. But that luck runs out in the tournament, whether it's round 1 or round 2. So Deep Cuts will be shredding many of your brackets except mine, and they won't need visual effects to do it. However, I'm still a fan of Team Action Media, as well as Ben Bateman Media and Andrew Guy Media.
You guys are insane.
You know what's funny is that me and Brian have the exact same first round for this side of the bracket.
Deep Cuts has no chance. I'm sorry. I don't think they have any chance. Zero. I got Team Action. I don't know what is going on there. I don't know if you guys have been vaping. I don't know what's happening, but I'm taking Team Action for sure.
Trial by combat.
All right. Well, let's go to the other side of the bracket. We're going to start in the top right-hand corner. It is the number 2 seed, the Wolves of Steel, Clark and Mark, versus Josh Makuga and 4 question marks. But let me go ahead and fill in that question mark for you, because I have a theory, and I know it's right because it's me and I'm smart.
Don't get fired.
I feel like this answer is hiding in plain sight. You got 4 question marks. What word is generally associated with question marks or mystery? Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Activist
group?
Just saying. Anonymous. It could have been hiding in plain sight this entire time, but I digress. Frank, Wolves of Steel versus Josh Makuga and 4 question marks. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to take the true number 1 seed, in my opinion.
Ooh, stiff.
And that is Wolves of Steel. Wolves of Steel is coming into this match answering 78% through 3 matches this season. Their lone loss was to the Patriots, but it was a hell of a match they put up. They dominate in the first round. Riley has been on an absolute tear in this 8-question format in the first round. He's been one of the best top 2 players in the league this season. Whether you want to talk about singles or teams, he has been absolutely a force in this first round. Clark is no slouch either. She's answering 67% in the first round, which is a little bit above average, but that's all you need when you got Riley answering nearly 90% correct in that first round. They kill it in the second round, answering 78%. They are 6 of 6 in steal opportunities. In their final round, they are 4 of 6 for 9 points this season when they've had to venture into that round. I don't know who Makuga's partner is going to be. Probably some bum off the street. It doesn't matter. Makuga and his teammate have no shot against Wolves of Steel. Wolves of Steel is going to take this one, I think, fairly easily, and I think it's going to be the only match of the first round that's not even close.
So I guess you really can call them the Wolves of Steel.
There you go, yes.
Anybody. All right. Brian, what do you think here? And that was a pretty stiff shot on Kale Anonymous, dare I say, Frank. It was a little stiff. But Brian, who you got here? Wolves of Steel and Josh Makuga and mystery partner.
So Wolves of Steel versus Makuga, question mark. This is a pick that we get to make with a robotic smirk on our face. I'll leave it at that. But Wolves of Steel, arguably the best team in this tournament, will beat Makuga, question mark. Makuga and whomever his partner is, they probably haven't played in a while. I know Makuga hasn't. I'm assuming his partner hasn't played in a while. So they're going to be rusty. Riley and Clark are in Schmodown mode, and it's going to carry them for one last run. So expect Wolves of Steel to top the Steel City's most infamous son.
Well, Josh Makuga's partner may be a question, but it's no question who's winning this match. It's the Wolves of Steel. Makuga and his partner shouldn't even be in this tournament, in my opinion.
Agreed.
There's no need for it whatsoever. So they'll just get trounced by the Wolves of Steel, and we won't have to worry about it. So I'll take them. All right, let's drop down to the next match, which will be critically acclaimed at number 6. Of course, that's William Bibiani and Whitney Seibold, not Seabold, versus the number 11 seed, late to the party, Robert and Vanessa. Frank, who you got here?
Yeah, I'm taking critically acclaimed. It's kind of, I hate to say it, but it's kind of a no-brainer to take critically acclaimed. Late to the Party, I think, is going to give them a hell of a run. That first round should be awfully, awfully tense. I think Robert and Vanessa will keep that first round very, very close, maybe down by 2 points, I think, which is pretty close. That second round could get kind of interesting because critically acclaimed, hopefully they don't play it safe. I think they got to go for the jugular because, Late to the Party, everyone's looking at them to lose this match. They really have nothing to lose besides more gas money. So in the end, it's going to be critically acclaimed. Their knowledge is just too much for Robert and Vanessa. And unfortunately, Late to the Party is going to go down. But critically acclaimed is going to take this one, and I think a very close one, closer than people would have thought.
Brian, what do you think here?
There's also Whitney Seibel. That's another mispronunciation for Whitney. But in terms of critically acclaimed versus Late to the Party, the expectations placed on critically acclaimed are simply too high. Even Aaron Turner's stable name idea turned team name places a certain expectation on them. However, unless Merle or the Patriots are playing, the Schmodown doesn't care who wins on paper. So I somehow expect Robert and Vanessa to drub critically acclaimed as their performance, critically acclaims, will win them a Razzie by year's end.
Wow, I mean, that's pretty shocking. For a first-round match, I'm a little shocked.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's buffoonery is all that is. That's
not even getting out of the first round. That's okay. All right.
Yeah, just go ahead and throw everyone's bracket in the trash. Let's see how you're doing there. I'll take critically acclaimed. I have no reason not to. They're two of my favorite people to listen to, and they're two of my favorite people to watch in the Schmodown. So sorry, I picked with my heart on this one.
I'm not saying Bibiani and Seibel aren't already top 5 players on their own. I think they're two of the best players in the league, but expectations, man. Expectations, they kill you every time in situations like this. There's too much energy that is wanting them and trying to project them to victory, and I think it's gonna blow up in their faces, sadly.
Well, let's drop down to the next match. It is the number 5 seed, the Nerds Watch, Ken Knapsack and Rachel Cushing, versus the number 12 seed, Above the Line, Sam Levine and Drew McWeeny making their debut. Frank, what do you think here?
This was a pretty tough one to pick. If Drew and Sam are on their game, there's no way Nerds Watch can come out of this round. Even if Ken's at his A game and Rachel's at her A game, it's not enough to overcome the A games of Sam and Drew. But with that said, Sam hasn't particularly fared well. He had a good showing against Merlin. He gave him a hell of a fight in that title fight in Collision. But he's been too up and down for me. Drew, I think he's more of an upward trend, but he's never been in one of these pressure-packed situations such as the tournament. I think that could kind of get to him. Likewise, Rachel, I think she's been learning from these pressure situations in the free-for-all and Collision. So I expect to see her have a really good performance. And Ken's just going to be Ken. He knows what he knows, and he's going to be there for Rachel to calm her down when he needs to, get the answers. And I think ultimately they're going to come out ahead and win this one above the line.
Nerds Watch is going to be upset by the newly formed Above the Line. The Godfather, Drew McWeeny of tracking-board.com is due. He's absolutely due for his coming out party. Levine isn't a strong enough player to win a singles belt, but with the right teammate, he's now in his best position possible to succeed, finally. As many remember, Nerds Watch's Collision loss was my fault since I incepted the idea of Rachel drinking before a match during her SK Plus debut on this show a couple months back. However, so far, the Watch has dodged the Fredo knapsack bullet as he's mostly come up with answers when needed. But that ends against Above the Line. Unless the Watch is fed a steady diet of Star Wars, Godfather Part 2, David Fincher, The Jungle Book, or Ed Westwick movie questions, Alistair Knapsack is going to betray the Crusher and her chances of advancing. As good as Rachel is, she can't carry Ollie Knapsack in every single match. I do expect her to play well to where she can still win all of the 2017 awards.
Well, someone else who drinks and knows things, I generally would take the Nerds Watch, but I'm also going to take an upset here. I think Above the Line is going to sneak in there and take this. I think you have Sam, who just came off a title match. You have Drew, who has kind of been a little okay so far. I think he's also a victim of high expectations, but I think this team could do some real damage in this tournament. So I'm going to take Above the Line to upset the Nerds Watch, but hopefully he doesn't come back to bite me, because I do know that the North does remember.
One more thing. This will be the first time that Drew McWeeny can actually establish a rhythm. His Schmoedown matches have been so few and far between that he really hasn't had a good opportunity to get a streak going. This is that opportunity. He's got potentially 4 matches to where he can really do some damage as long as they get out of this first round, which they will.
But that's the thing. I mean, you talk about the rhythm. He's got to come into this match not being in a rhythm. So that kind of negates.
He's a talented and knowledgeable guy.
True.
If anyone can get that first victory, don't be surprised if that carries him the rest of the way.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's why this was a really tough one for me to pick.
All right, let's get down to the last match on the right side of the bracket. It is 6 Degrees, the number 8 seed, versus DC Movie News, the number 9 seed. This seems like a tough one to call here, but with a nice little rivalry going on underneath. Frank, who do you got here?
I had a tough time picking the last match. I had an even tougher time picking this match. I went with DC Movie News, and then I went 6 Degrees, and then back to DC, then 6 Degrees. But ultimately, I ended on 6 Degrees winning this match. And the main reason is they have been much more capable in the first round than DC Movie News was in their first round. Yeah, they were in one match, but I didn't like what I saw in their first round, because to me, the first round is it's like your remedial movie trivia. You should know a vast majority of these questions, and I didn't see that from DC Movie News. 6 Degrees has improved their game, but DC Movie News, the second round is what really made things difficult for me to decide, because 6 Degrees hasn't been as good. They're answering 67% compared to DC Movie News 83%, and they were 2 of 2 on steals. 6 Degrees was 1 for 1 in their steals. Their third rounds, they've actually both been 3 for 3, which is very interesting. So this is why it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to come down to who can handle the pressure, who has that last opportunity to seal the win. And I think ultimately 6 Degrees is going to squeak this one out, but it's going to be an absolutely tense match, I think. The most tense match of the first round, if you ask me.
For me, DC Movie News with the General and the Mute have 6 Degrees' number. Kalinowski knows he can beat Chandler, having done it already, and that's all the edge one needs, even in teams. Chandler has inherited many of the Schmoedown question nightmares that used to plague Clark Wolf, like that absurd multiple answer question for Guardians, or that misleading lead actor, lead character question. So I expect there to be another version of that in this match, and I do think it'll be a good match, but DC Movie News is my pick.
I will also take DC Movie News to beat 6 Degrees. I just think they looked really good in their first match, and I think it'll carry over here. I like what they're doing. I think they could be a good team as well. Might do some upsets in the bracket as well. All right, Frank, we're into round 2 now. Who do you have facing each other, and who do you have winning?
So I got top 10 and Blofield's Cat going at it, and I'm going to take top 10.
Not surprised. Brian?
Well, I have bottom 10 playing Blofeld's Cat. Again, Blofeld, Frank. Blofeld.
That's what I said.
Like Seinfeld. I taught you last week. But as far as who's going to win bottom 10 versus Blofeld's Cat, I've got Blofeld's Cat.
Wow, an upset. Okay. I also have top 10. I also have top 10 and Blofeld's Cat. I will take top 10 to win in this one. So, Frank, let's jump down to your next match, the Trek side of the bracket. Who do you have in here, and who do you have winning?
So I picked Cinema Blend, and I have Deep Cuts, and I'm going to go with Cinema Blend.
Oh, okay, Cinema Blend moving on. Brian, who you got here?
I'm with Frank. Cinema Blend versus Deep Cuts. I've got Cinema Blend coming out ahead with the victory. Their name is still hard to pronounce, but they are going to win this match.
Guys, I have Cinema Blend also beating, but I have them beating Team Action. This is crazy. I feel like we're on the same wavelength here. But anyway, let's jump to the other side of the bracket.
Triple shot of Cinema Blend.
Second round, Frank, on the Wolves of Steel side of the bracket, who you got in the second round playing each other? Who you got winning?
Yeah, so I have Wolves of Steel and Critically Acclaimed going at it. And I'm going to take Wolves of Steel.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Brian, who you got here?
Well, I've got Wolves of Steel playing late to the party, Robert and Vanessa. This is where experience is going to help Wolves of Steel advance to the next round.
I have the Wolves of Steel also versus Critically Acclaimed, and I think this is where the Acclaimed road will end, and I have the Wolves of Steel defeating them.
Do you think we're trying to get too cute here? I don't know, but
I don't know. It's very punny.
Yeah.
It's very punny this evening. But anyway, let's jump down to the Nerds Watch side of the bracket where, Frank, who do you have and who do you have winning?
So this one's Nerds Watch against 6 Degrees, and I have Nerds Watch winning this one.
Okay. Brian, what about you, man?
I've got Above the Line playing DC Movie News, and Above the Line will advance thanks to heroics from Drew McQueenie.
I have the same matchup as you, Brian. I have the same outcome. I think that Above the Line will beat DC Movie News and move on. So now we're getting into the nitty-gritty here. The final four will be decided here. Frank, who do you have? And who do you have, I believe, going to the championship?
Right, so I got top 10 in Cinema Blend here, and I'm going to take top 10.
I'm not surprised. Brian, what about you, man?
I've got Blofeld's Cat playing Cinema Blend, and I'm going to go with experience on this one, as the android as well as the captain have been in the Schmodown a bit longer. They're wise beyond their years, and I think they're gonna edge it out and appear in the finals. Blofeld's Cat.
Wow, okay. Well, this is where we deviate from the whole Cinema Blend thing, because I have Cinema Blend versus top 10, and I've got Cinema Blend going to the finals. Cinema Blend.
I like it.
And that would mean that top 10 would be eliminated right there.
Yeah.
And since the Outlaw is such a big fan of quoting Jay-Z, especially to our Twitter account, I'd like to throw this back to the Outlaw with a Jay-Z quote of my own that I came up with from the song Izzo that says, "He who does not feel me is not real to me. Therefore, he does not exist. So poof, vamoose, son of a bitch." And top 10 will be eliminated right then and there.
Look, I gotta say, picking between top 10 and Cinema Blend was not easy, but I went the experience route with top 10. But that's a tough one to pick in my estimation.
Fair enough. Let's jump to the other side of the bracket, as I did not have it pulled up. Now I do. Wolves of Steel side here. Who do you got going to the final here, Frank?
So my matchup is Wolves of Steel and Nerds Watch, and I am picking Wolves of Steel.
Okay, fair enough. Brian, who do you got here going to the final?
It's going to be a battle between Wolves of Steel and Above the Line, but like I said, guys, the Godfather is here to whack the Wolves, ending the Wolves of Steel, perhaps forever, paving the way for Clark Wolf and Brittany Young to be a new team. So you heard it here first, but Above the Line will appear in the finals against Blofeld's Cat.
Well, I have the Wolves of Steel versus Above the Line, and I will take the Wolves of Steel to continue their run, possibly keeping the train together. They will go to the finals in my bracket to face Cinema Blend. I cannot believe I even said it. So here we go, guys. We're at the finals. Frank, who's your final? Who do you have as the Ultimate Schmodown champion?
Yeah, so I have top 10 and Wolves of Steel, two mainstays of the league, teams that have really built this league between Riley and Roca, especially. But in the end, oh man, I had to go Wolves of Steel.
Whoa!
I had to go Wolves of Steel. I just think, like I stated before, with Wolves of Steel, they are just dominant in every round this year, as opposed to top 10 when they've been very mediocre. They may go on a great run here. Doing the top 10 show again may give them some juice. That's why I think I got them getting all the way to the final. But it's Wolves of Steel for me in the win to go ahead and face the Patriots as spectacular.
Frank, I don't mean to discount what you're saying there, but you did take the 1 and 2 seed. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Guys, wouldn't that be something if Mark Riley retired from singles?
It's Harloff effect all over again.
And then he wins the team belt potentially down the road. Wouldn't that be incredible?
It'd be kind of fun.
It's really like fun. Just when he thought he was out, pull him back in.
Well, Brian, who is your final and who you got as the Ultimate Schmodown team champion?
Well, I've got Blofeld's Cat against Above the Line. And Sam Levine, there was a time where everybody thought he was one of the best Schmodown players. This is before the Collider era was really underway, but there was a time where people really respected, they still respect him, but there was a time where he was kind of feared. And I think he has needed the right teammate for a long time. He's tried out a couple options before, they haven't worked out, but Drew McQueenie and Sam Levine will be the stars of this tournament. They're coming out, and this will be their tournament. They will go on to face the Patriots. It's going to be a heck of a match. Android and Burnett are no slouches, but Drew McQueenie, he's been watching the Beasts and Merle and all these guys get the glory, get the time in the spotlight, and he's just been sitting there waiting patiently, waiting to whack some fools. And the story of this tournament will be Drew McQueenie.
Okay. Wow, a 14 seed winning the whole thing. Well, I've got a 13 seed in Cinema Blend. Unbelievable. In the final, I'm going to be screwed if they lose in the first round. Let's just put it that way. Just go ahead and throw my bracket in the trash. Versus the Wolves of Steel here. And as much as I like the upstart Cinema Blend to make a run here, I think it ends right here. And we have the Wolves of Steel again getting the title shot at those daggone Patriots. And I think the story may complete itself at Spectacular. I think Mark Riley could be a double champion. What a story. But I got the Wolves of Steel to win the Ultimate Schmodown. I realize they're a number 2 seed. I'm not really going out on a limb, but still I had Cinema Blend, so leave me alone.
And folks, make sure to submit your brackets, as we said up top, by 11:59 p.m. on August 21st, 2017. Collider operates in Pacific Standard Time, so I imagine the deadline will be Pacific Standard Time, but don't take any chances. Get it in before midnight on August 21st, regardless of your time zone. Schmodown 2017 at gmail.com. Enter the 2017 Bracket Challenge and win more mystery prizes. Perhaps you win Makuga's partner.
Actually, guys, I would like our fans here that are listening to this bracketology, that are into it, that think we're all insane, I would like to actually see your picks. Who do you think has the best bracket of us three? Who do you think has the best chance of winning? We're not actually eligible to enter this giveaway, I don't think.
Yeah,
we are?
Yeah, why not?
Seems unfair, but anyway.
No, it's not.
We're experts. It seems unfair. But yeah, I want to know who you guys think has the best bracket. We're going to post these on our Twitter and in the Movie Trivia Schmodown Facebook group so you guys can see what's going on. So let us know. Does Frank have the best bracket? No. Does Brian have the best bracket? No. Do I have the best bracket? Yeah,
no.
Probably. So
just drop down into the YouTube comments, say who you think has the best bracket, but tell us who you've got. List your picks as well. You don't have to do this big elaborate thing. Just tell us your individual picks, and we'll figure it out. Who are your picks? So I want to see what other people are picking as well.
And you don't win anything. You just win like our gratitude, like
a thumbs up.
Give you a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Appreciate it. And we would appreciate your thumbs up in return. All right, well, that's all I got. So that's going to be it for this episode of the Schmodown Rundown. We hope you've enjoyed bracketology. I know we enjoyed bringing it to you, as we like to bring you content every single week, sometimes more than once a week, and that's all well and good. Next week, we will be recapping 4 matches in the Ultimate Schmodown Team Tournament, so expect a couple things. Number 1, expect a longer episode, and number 2, expect it probably a little later than usual. I think that's fair. So, my name's Aaron. You can find me on Twitter at ATTitanium. Frank Janish, what about you, man?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29.
B-Rye, Brian Davids, where can we find you, man?
At BDF331 on Twitter, as well as filmschlubspodcast.com.
And guys, don't forget, there's a call to arms on Twitter from the commissioner himself. Let the ladies of Glow that participated in this match know that you are a fan of their work. You can catch Brittany Young at It's Brittany Young, at Britt Barron, at Mean Queen K, and at Jackie Tone. And of course, you can follow the show at Glow Netflix. I'm sure they would appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys listening. We will catch you next week. Don't forget, follow the show on Twitter at SD Rundown, and we'll see you next time.